this is my friend Teresa Lawless. When did I first meet you?
Well, it's nearly 30 years now, Bea.
Yes.
Yeah, when I came home from England and I was with Father McGovern. I was come to Newport and I was introduced to him, and I met you in a shop in Newport and we became good friends.
Yes.
You were always admiring what I used to wear and that, and from then on we became close friends, and I used to visit you at your home all the time, and you would come up to my house. I would bring you up for a day and we'd go out for a little drive to Ballina or someplace, and we had good times together.
Yeah.
And and every time I came back from London,
Yeah.
you know, we met up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was lovely.
Yeah, that was lovely.
And
you
were such a lovely lady when I first met you, and you still are.
And so you.
Thank you. Butter. Can you tell me how you used to make the butter?
Yeah.
How did you make the butter?
Well, you made the butter. First you had to milk the cows, and then they were called crocks. They were made of jelf, and you had to set them for so long before the cream came on top. And then the cream came on top after a day or two, and you got a large spoon and you put the cream into another crock. And when you'd have it in about a week then, you'd have the crock filled and you had your churn. The churn was made of timber, and there was a dash to it, and you had to make the churn with the continual pattern with it. So when the butter came on top of the buttermilk, and you took out the butter and you had to get another dish, a wooden dish, and you had to salt the butter and to get all the buttermilk out of it. So it wasn't easy work, but it was interesting. And then the time neighbours would maybe buy some of the butter, it meant money. So that was life, and the buttermilk you made, the homemade bread was always made. And you had the buttermilk to make the homemade bread. And you'd share the buttermilk with the neighbours if they didn't have some. So that was like, you always made 2 cakes in the day of the bread. And then there was, if neighbours came in, you made pancakes because you had lots of butter. And you made the pancakes with sugar, butter and the flour and milk. And it was a real treat. There was very little bought in the shops in those years. Even the shop bread, it was a treat. The loaf was a treat then because it was always home bread. So that was life. Growing in the country wasn't easy, but it was interesting.
Yeah. And with the butter, you know, the old-fashioned butter was salty.
Yes.
You know, and it was lovely because I remember it being made in my grandmother's house, and I still love the old-fashioned butter.
Yeah.
So did they used to put a lot of salt in it then?
That's right.
Yeah.
You put it to keep.
To preserve it, was it?
Yeah.
And then you used to make toffee, didn't you? Instead of the toffee at the
the
festivals in Newport for
the
years.
Toffee, you see, the only thing you stole was the sugar because the sugar was expensive. But you had loads of butter and you stole the sugar known to your mother, and you made toffee. And the toffee was made, you got a saucepan, you had a special saucepan for it with the sugar and butter. And you just kept mixing it until it got into a past the running mixture. And then you put it out on the table, spread it out on the table in greaseproof paper, and it got cold. And then you had you cracked it up and you shared it with the other children, neighbours. My mother always made Christmas pudding. And it was very little bought in the shops in those days.
Yeah.
Because money, well, of course, money was scarce. But it it was always rewarding making those things.
Yeah.
Now times have changed, and you done your shopping, and you say when you cycled home again, you were. But though you see, those were the times we lived in.
Yes.
Yeah, and we didn't expect. Well, not the luxuries we have now. We had no central heating. And first I remember well, we had no electric light, no electricity. And sometimes if there was no paraffin oil, I mean it wasn't easy. Things would go scarce at times.
Yeah.
But the neighbours were always ready to help, because there was poteen in every house, and if somebody got a bad cold, well, the cure was poteen and hot milk. And you see, they slept and they were fine when they woke.
They were drunk as monkeys, yeah?
Yeah, when they woke. So, however, there was quite a few lost they'd have to walk through the mountains. And a missioner came to Kilmeena church, and he insisted them to bring the Stils to the church. And the Stils came to the church, and they were burnt. Now I don't remember that time, only the telly. And I always remember the woman of the house, especially my mother, she had to promise the missioner that there'd never be poteen drank in the house. It could be drank outside. So I always remember my mother there was never poteen drank in the house. If it was outside. So with that, the poteen died away, and years there was never poteen made. And I don't think to this day it's even made. Yeah. But you see, it was made and it was sold, and people just had such faith in it. They thought it was a cure for everything. Yeah. Usually everybody had their own vegetables.
Yeah. And
there was always, everybody in those years, I remember, everybody reared a pig. They get a pig about June or July, and they reared the pig, and at Christmas the pig was killed in most houses. And they went round, and it was very, people were very anxious to think they had the best pig.
Yeah.
And it was weighed. But then they shared with all the neighbours. And the food would consist of the breakfast. There was always porridge, because there was always lots of milk. And the dinner, it was the bacon and cabbage, or cabbage and bacon. And the tea always consisted of a homemade bread. Maybe sometimes for a Sunday there would be raisins put in the cake, but it was only rarely. You'd be afraid to go up to the bedroom or go, because you were afraid of ghosts. And then they would come, and the different neighbours, they would sit round the fireplace and told ghost stories. There was such a place and but however, God rest my father, he never gave in to those things. But there was one night he was at a wake a few miles from the house, and of course it was walking. So he was coming home, and he heard got a bit afraid, it seems, and he heard this jingle jangle, and he thought, well, I'll wait and see. I'm not going, I'll wait now and see what it is. So however, it continued, and what was it? He had a horse, and the horse had got loose from the tie-in, and it had strayed, and the noise of the chain. So my father never gave in to the ghosts. They would make up stories, and children were afraid. They were afraid to go to bed. They were, yeah. And if somebody died, then they were supposed to be appearing again. Yeah. You know, as a child,
Yeah.
you lived in fear all the time because you believed those things. Yeah.
Oh dear. Anyway, so.
And we had, school was 3 miles from us, so you know, it wasn't easy. You had to walk to the school and walk home. And, you know, times weren't easy.
No. Anyways, when you were growing up, where did you get your clothes from? Like lots of your clothes and
they
shoes?
They were all handed down.
Okay.
If you had an aunt or a cousin in England or America, they sent
Parcels.
They sent their what they had finished grown out of, and it was wonderful to see the postman come out with a parcel. And my mother was very handy. If it was too long, she could always shorten it. She was had all those ideas.